Our next guest says no matter who wins the presidency in Taiwan, it's going to be a big deal for China's President Xi Jinping and relations between China and the U.S. Let's welcome back Dennis Unkovic, partner at Meyer, Unkovic Scott. He advises U.S. companies doing business in China and has been there more times than I can count. Dennis, welcome. Good to have you with us. There are the two main parties here. I find it slightly ironic that the more, quote, acceptable or moderate one in the eyes of Beijing is the KMT, the Kuomintang, which is the party of Chiang Kai-shek.
That is amazing. When Chiang Kai-shek essentially lost and moved his people to Taiwan, the Kuomintang was the big enemy. But at this point, the DPP, the Democratic People's Party, which is the party of the current president, it has, over the last 8 years, drawn a very careful, but I think planned movement away from China and toward the West, particularly the U.S.
Would a victory by lie be seen as Eunice seemed to suggest, as a more provocative result for China, or would cause them to become more bellicose and belligerent?
The answer is yes. I go back to we had an interview a couple months ago. Do you remember when the president met with Xi in
yes.
San Francisco? Mm-hmm. And the most famous quote from that was, reunification of Taiwan with China is inevitable. That is what Biden was told by Xi. And if anything since then, from observing from afar what's going on, they've ratcheted up that even more. And when you see Xi saying, look, this is a question between peace and maybe war, that's really very frightening.
But I wonder, Dennis, to your point about its inevitability, if this is actually a choice about war, or if everyone is coming around to this idea of its inevitability.
Kelly, I don't think that war is inevitable because China...
No, reunification is inevitable. And I'm not sure at this point, do you feel like the stakes are being lowered somewhat, that it's almost as if the international community is preparing itself to resign itself to this reality?
I hope not. China has said by 2049, 100 years, Kelly, since the Chinese Communist Party took over, we are definitely going to have Taiwan. I don't think that reunification is going to come about through a military situation now. Basically, Xi Jinping has three options: do something with the islands surrounding Taiwan, blockade Taiwan, or actually militarily attack. I do not think that the Chinese at this point have the capability or are willing to risk their overall economy with what would come as a result of that from an invasion. But are things being ratcheted up? Yes. And is the DPP, if they win, William Lai? Yes, I think it's going to be more serious.
What should American businesses that have a stake in China, either as a manufacturing source or a market, what should they do on Monday morning when the results are known? Is there anything they need to be doing by way of preparation or reaction?
A great question. I think I would advise what I've advised for the last 5 years. If you are sole sourcing out of China, the PRC, you need to look at alternative sources of supply. That doesn't mean you stop doing business, Tyler, in China, but you have to say, look, I cannot expose myself, as many companies did during COVID, to a sole source supply out of China. And that means the board of directors and the C-suite executives have got to say, this is a major priority, and that's what I would do Monday morning.
All right, Dennis, thanks. Great to see you. Dennis Unkovic, once again, on China.